really forcing us to think on multiple dimensions of the future of KM, right? So Ravi in his panel talked about the knowledge worker, talked about the leadership aspect of KM, also talked about the digital workplace that we are increasingly seeing. This particular panel will talk about the business side of KM. So we have really looked at KM from one angle, from the angle of the knowledge manager in the previous panels. Here we talk about the business aspect. So very recently I attended a big fat Indian wedding in the family, and it's a very organized chaos that happens. So we have some international delegates who may not have probably that flavor of how an Indian wedding looks like. So there is a movie around that as well, right? So within the immediate family itself, you can see that roles are divided. So there's the bride or the groom, depending on which side you are in. The immediate family looks after, say, the bride, in this case where I went to. And then you have people given different responsibilities. There are multiple external vendors who come in. So whether it is the person who does the catering at home or outside. There's a tent that is set up, the pandal, as we call it. And the whole thing happens over 3 to 5 days. And then, so you find that there are multiple points of leadership happening in organizing the wedding. And as can be expected in such situations, while there is a lot of bonhomie and festivity, there's also some amount of tension that creeps in amongst those groups that are there, right? There are some conflict situations that arise. And then you always have a family elder who sort of assuages the heightened feelings, right? And they act as a glue to really make sure everything is in sync. And finally, everybody goes away very happy from the wedding. So when you look at the organizational context, we do find similarities happening over here. So you have different lines of business. The business heads are all running after targets. They're cannibalizing each other in the process as well because they're working on numbers. Then you have the operations guys who work on absolutely different parameters. They're looking at optimal utilization of resources, whether it's manufacturing or an IT services company or any other sector, right? Then you have the chief financial officer who can think only of the top line and the bottom line and nothing else, right? You have the HR guys who have their own agenda, are their results done on time, the various Excel spreadsheets that they run throughout the year and make life miserable maybe for the rest of the organization, right? And you have the learning and development guys, very often driven by what is the number of hours of training that has happened. If there is a mandatory training, what is the client compliance percentage? So you find that while all are working towards a common objective of finally the organization being sustainable, being successful, they are still working on conflicting objectives. And very often we find the conflicts happen. One is due to misaligned goals. Second is because the knowledge flows are not happening properly, right? So KM as a function in a sometimes direct, sometimes indirect way takes over the role of being that elder in the family, right? They provide that glue through which better collaboration happens, through which proper flow of knowledge happens and all that. Now, over here, I hope we have a happy family over here. We have business stakeholders representing different parts of business. So let me start with the introductions. I have John George, who comes from a predominantly manufacturing background. He's heading supply chain operations in Cisco. We all are familiar with Cisco because there's a part of Cisco always with us when we are holding a smartphone. It could be at the telecom provider's end or it could be in the laptops that we're having. So John George has around 20 years of experience in supply chain area, in customer-focused quality. He has also done a bit of IT, again in multiple companies, in Cisco, in Dell, in GE, in Kirloskar, and ITC. So plenty of experience in the manufacturing sector that he has. And he'll bring in the perspective of supply chain and operations as to how, as a business stakeholder, he really looks at the challenges that are arising, which could be addressed through knowledge management. Next, we have Rajesh Dhillon. So the name can be very deceptive. He is a Singaporean of second generation descent, but फिर भी दिल हिंदुस्तानी. So he served in the Singapore Royal Navy for 21 years, a very distinguished career, and then he came into the corporate, He's the head of strategy and business development for an insurance firm called CII Group. KM has been his passion while he was in the Navy and even when he's working in an insurance firm. Not only that, he's the president of KM Society of Singapore, and he has been instrumental in setting up a network of networks called the KM Global Network. So some of the international delegates you see over here are representing their respective countries as heads of their respective knowledge societies. So he's playing a far bigger role than just being on the panel over here, right?
Thank you.
Then on the right, we have Ramesh Gopalakrishnan. He is a career Mindtree person. He joined immediately after its inception, and right now he heads global delivery as well as his head of operations. Spent 19 years in Mindtree now, the same as its age. And before that, he was in Tata Infotech for a few years. So a lot of rich experience across different parts of Mindtree, as could be expected. We then have Vivek Gupta. So he is going to represent the delivery stakeholder of KM over here. You are strategy and predominantly strategy part of it. We have Vivek Gupta, who he recently came out of Alibaba Cloud, and he was heading sales for India and South nations over here. So he's through and through a cloud man, right? Always in the cloud. He was AWS before that, Salesforce.com, etc. So his core expertise is in sales and marketing, and that's the hat he's going to wear over here as well. He's also embarking on an entrepreneurship journey. I don't think he's ready to share that yet on stage, so that's absolutely fine. And finally, we have Subhash Khare. He spent 35 years, he spent 28 years in Wipro, just came out of Wipro. He retired from there. Again, a very distinguished career. Wore many different hats. So he was part of HR, he was part of learning and development, all that. He has written a book as well. I'll just read out the title, Author of Optimizing the Organization. So he looked at the operational part of the company and came out with his own analysis, insights, and recommendations on that. He's also writing a book on self-learning and self-development. So whenever it is out, I look forward to it because he's full of insights. A very modest, humble guy, but very rich in his knowledge. He worked in Tata Motors for approximately 9 years before he joined Wipro. So I'd like to welcome the panel again, and let's start with George, you, with your thoughts on the expectations from KM and the gaps that you experienced. Thank you.
Sure. I'll cover that because I'm coming from supply chain background, right? Just a little bit, when Ved said that I lead supply chain operations. Supply chain operations is the boss 2 levels my level. So he runs supply chain operations. I'm just one portion of supply chain in India. I take care of a role called customer quality. So why customer quality related to supply chain, and talk about it later if we get a chance. But let's get to the point. I'll tell you about 2 business scenarios which happened in, it's happening in Cisco, it's happened in Cisco, and based on that you can tell about the need of knowledge management, right? Cisco over the last several years has been integrating its product lines and giving it to customer as a solution. Much earlier, 10 years back, we used to sell routers separately, switches separately, collaboration systems separately. But now it is sold as a package. So when we look at from customer viewpoint, now the customer looks at the entire product set, end to end, and looks at if there's a failure or there's a feature missing, they want it all connected. But in the back end, Cisco in the earlier days, we are all working in silos. So now there is a need because we are selling it to our customers, the integrated unit, we need to change the way we operate. And knowledge management plays a key role. So I'm just giving one business scenario where knowledge management can play a role, and it is because of the business need, and that forced us to look at that. The other aspect is because of now growing barriers, countries are raising their barriers, trade barriers. Manufacturing becomes a little bit difficult. For example, I'm just naming a country. India will not buy product which is made somewhere else, some XYZ country. And China will not buy if it is made somewhere else. Pakistan will not buy it somewhere else. So we can easily tackle that in a system by saying, okay, if it's made here, it cannot be shipped to that country. But for us to develop a network system or manage our delivery system, through by what I would say as workload shifting based on countries raising their barriers can be easily done through our simulation. But if I want to move the product line manufacturing say, from one country to another country, it is easy for me to do it digitally and move the workload by planning mechanisms to one country to one country. But who will manufacture that there? People have to manufacture that there. Do they have the knowledge? Do they have the information? We have documentation, we have all those systems. But can we dynamically move the workload at a very fast pace? That's a difficulty what we are facing right now. Because of countries raising barriers, taxes going at different levels. So we have to manufacture the right place to sell it the cheapest possible way to the customer. So that's becoming a challenge. And knowledge management, according to me, can play a role there. And that's what we are right now grappling with, or we are working with our teams to see how that can be done in a faster way. So I just put two scenarios to just tell you, the business is changing, so the gaps are coming out, but knowledge management can play a role. How that can be played is what we can all figure out how it can be done.
Thank you, George. So he's talking about the complexity arising from multi-geography kind of operations that we have. And a lot of organizations are global in nature. Startups have a vision of going global as well. So I think this is something that knowledge management really needs to scale up to see how they can understand those challenges, probably foresee those challenges and come up with some creative solutions around that. So thanks, George and Rajesh, for your comments.
Thank you. I like the example about the wedding. Well, for me, if you ask me where does KM start, and I'll say it starts from home. And if you ask me when does it starts the day that you made that journey through the birth canal. Yep. The mother has the learning, the kid is learning how to get himself out. Yeah, that's where KM starts. So is KM sitting in a department in the office or in the organization? The answer is no. In I think the previous panels we heard, what's in it for me? We heard, so whose job is it anyway? Yeah, and we heard the part in I think when we had the sharing saying that KM's responsibility, the responsibility of doing KM is embedded in every job scope that you have. That's what we're experiencing in Singapore. I've shared a couple of times that you don't find a job called KM manager or assistant director of KM or chief knowledge officer in Singapore anymore. What you find is chief transformation officer, right? And that's where KM sits today. Now, innovation is fancy, agile is fancy, but the background of everything else is knowledge, right? It starts from the day that my 2-year-old daughter actually touched the agarbatti and then she knew that it's hot and she has transferred this to my other 2 kids. So KM starts at home and KM starts with all of us, right? That's my interpretation. Now, just to correct a bit, the KM Global Network was started by the society, so I don't own ownership of it. The society owns ownership of it. But looking at what we did over the last, yesterday or the day before, yesterday actually, where we had a panel of speakers or a panel of representatives from Japan, from Israel, from South Africa, India, coming together and talking about how can we share, how can we learn, how can we collaborate, and Wadim's favorite word is co-create. How can we co-create? That's where KM is now. Now let's put this into a business strategy. And I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. I need you to show me your hands, all right? Now, how many of you here have an insurance policy? Good. For those who don't have, come to me later. I'll sell you an AIA. Okay. Now, if you have an insurance policy and you remember your insurance agent, how many of your insurance agent came to you with a pen and paper and drew out your life and said, at this stage of your life, this is what you need. At this stage of your life, this is what you need. And when he convinced you, you signed on that piece of paper. Can I see a show of hands? That's how you went through? Okay. Now, how many of you went through that drawing on a piece of paper, and then when he had to sign the signature, it was done on an iPad? There must be a couple of you. Now, today, how do you buy your insurance? Do you need the agent? You don't. You go online, you decide what you want to buy, and therefore you have bought it, and that's it. So, now, where I came from, or where I've been plonked into in AIA is to figure out how this insurance agent is still going to have a job 5 years down the road. Now, the first thing we did is we stopped calling them agents. They are consultants, they're not agents, right? The empowerment that they've given you on your laptop, on your iPad, is for you to make a decision. They come in to consult, looking at your overall financial situation, looking at your family situation, looking at a medical situation, and give you a proposal of, hey, this is what you're going to buy, right? Now, where does information come in? Now, based on your age group and based on your lifestyle that you're leading, people in this age group tend to suffer from this illness at this age. So if you're buying a medical package, I think because you have a history of diabetic in your family, you should then buy a rider on the critical illness. Now that's where the consultant comes in. And that's where the business strategy has changed. So for business strategy to change, you need the knowledge strategy. Now, where does KM strategy sit and where does business strategy sit? KM strategy actually is driven by whatever your business strategy is. So I wrote this down somewhere. Now, the expectation and gaps, and that's what we're talking about. Now, the expectations of the boss, right, in a KM strategy or in a business strategy is, how will KM increase my profit? That is his expectation. And the gap, that when you have a gap and you have to defend it, his answer is, how can we do better to minimize this gap and make more profit? So, in a business, everything is profit driven. You have to be able to speak the language of what the bosses want to hear. And that, my friend, is dollars and cents. Yeah? Now, of course, in a government agency where I was for 21 years, then it's a bit different, right? You may not translate it to dollars and cents. You may translate it to life and death, to political stability. You may translate it to friendliness with your neighbors and how you're going to integrate with other agencies that you have. Right? So that's how I see what are the expectations and what are the gaps, the difference between a business unit and the difference between a government unit. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Thank you, Rajesh. So you're talking of how KM strategy has to align very closely with the business strategy and find the gap and try to see how you can minimize that gap. So some good messages over there. And I hope you do sell a few insurance policies before the annuals.
I'm not the consultant, but okay.
So next is Ramesh. So Ramesh, your delivery and operations for a very large organization, $1 billion organization. Let's hear from you.
Thanks, Wayne. So in some ways, the experiences that I share comes from like an outside in the sense that when the KM journey started in Mindtree, we were like the skeptics, being people in general. We had people like Shanavas trying to get us converted. So we were the converts. Then at some point we got converted and became contributors and now as customers. But before I go there in terms of sort of expectations from the function, I want to share a sort of story with you guys. It maybe is urban legend because I can't sort of vouch to the authenticity of it, but it's an interesting story nonetheless. So this is like sort of mid-late 1990s, and TCS is kind of taking off. Largest company then in IT services, the largest company today. And Cognizant at that time, both of them being Chennai-based at that time, and Cognizant at that time is sort of taking off, right? It's the upstart, if I can call it that. So the incident is set, and there is fierce competition between the IT services companies on any deal that comes up. So it's set somewhere in New York, and what happens in some of these cases is that the customer would call you over for a bid, and just to save time because they have to meet 3 or 4 different vendors, what they would do is book a place, book like a conference room in a place like this. And then get vendors to come in. So you get 2-3 hours. Vendor 1 goes out, vendor 2, and that's how it works. What happens in that case is you get to know who else is bidding. So the way the story goes is the Cognizant team is waiting outside, and TCS is in. So TCS finishes the presentation. It's for a banking customer, so they make their pitch. They talk about all the great work that they've done, and then the TCS folks walk out. And Cognizant walks in, led by by Lakshmi, who later became CEO and president. So Lakshmi goes in, and it's a fantastic opening line that you can expect. So he goes in and tells the customer, you would have seen TCS coming before us. They would have told you about all the wonderful work that they've done all over the world, all these great systems that they've implemented. The guys who did all of that for TCS, they are with me now. Right? So, I don't know who won the game, but the moral, the moral of the story, I think, then is that knowledge is important. It is a competitive advantage. You could almost see, when I told you that, you could almost see the customers thinking, right, who do I go with now? Right? So knowledge is a competitive advantage. The question now is, where is that knowledge for an organization? Is it with the organization, or does it walk out at the end of the day and you sort of wish and pray and hope that they'll come back the next day morning, right? So that's I think the challenge for an organization. For us at Mindtree, when we started the journey, we took two approaches. One was like a what we like to call a technology forward approach, and the other was like a social forward approach. The tech forward approach was about creating platforms. So these were digital platforms that got created to let people, execute their KM journeys as it were. So that was a tech platform, including like a social platform, which was very vibrant. And the other part of it, which is the culture part of it, and without dealing with that, there's no way it can be successful, was the culture, the social forward part of it. And that was, created as communities, what we call communities and communities of practice. And it was, immensely successful in the sense that at some point, one of those years, and we were pretty small then, there was a year when we had like 500 community sessions in a year. That's almost like, 2 a day. Across the interesting thing that the KM team at Mindtree did at that time was in organizations typically sort of knowledge flows, follow organizational design in some ways. The way the information flows up follows the organizational design. So we had to necessarily break that, and the communities were designed exactly in the opposite way. So the communities were designed completely lateral to that, consciously sort of breaking that channel, and I think that encouraged sharing, which is why I think they sustained for a longer time and were very vibrant. So, but on the delivery side, it was a different challenge at that time, and there were challenges around IP and sharing and so on, which were sort of big stumbling blocks that folks like us from delivery would throw at the KM team and say, "Oh, I can't do this because it's like IP, it's an excuse." But then what we did was we focused on accounts. So we decided not to tackle the IP creation problem or the IP sharing problem, and focus instead on accounts, and looked at sort of boring problems, right? Like retention, retention of knowledge, onboarding of people, and things like that, and tools like knowledge maps, etc., were created to help account teams. Now that was not glamorous at all. That work was not glamorous at all.